Hey guys, I am super excited to announce that Java and Console Aspects 6.5.0, the Pinpoint Precision Update, is out now, and you can download it at the links in the description. So let's go through all the new features, and in fact, this will be a shorter video today because most of the features are related to a single system, the first-person animation system. Because Java Aspects has strived for a long time to recreate the exact appearance of Java Edition empty hand, attack animations, and items, but as of today, we no longer have to recreate the animations by comparing screenshots and slowly making adjustments until they look almost identical, because LateLag MC, the creator of Fixed Vanilla, has discovered a way to port the Java animations. That's right, not recreations, ports. Code-accurate, mathematically perfect ports of the empty hand animation, of animations for all the items you see on the armor stands here, including the brand new spear, which now has perfect use and attack animations in both first and third person that are exactly identical to Java Edition. So I'd like to take a moment to just go through all of the wonderful animations that we've recreated and show some comparisons with Java Edition on screen while I'm doing them. Here's the empty hand. Let me flip back and forth. That's right, it is pixel perfect. When you attack, same story, and this is going to be the pattern for pretty much every animation here. The spyglass is a really simple one. You just hold it straight down and it's perfectly accurate. The crossbow is interesting because it has a very different drawing animation on Java Edition, and now we have perfectly recreated that drawing and loading animation on Bedrock. Also, if you use commands to put an attachable item in your offhand now, they will still look correct. I am currently holding a crossbow in the offhand, which you can't normally do, but it looks perfect even in first person, and this is true for every single item that you'll see here. Next up we have the spear, which is an extremely nice one because the default Bedrock Edition attack animation is unbearably bad. Now we actually stick them with the pointy end with the Trident, and it is super accurate to Java Edition. But Tridents have more animations than just attacking because they also have the drawing animation. And this one is really hard to recreate. But now, with our perfect code port, we no longer have to rely on our animation recreation being accurate because we know it's mathematically perfect. The same goes for the Riptide enchantment, which now even works if you have a Trident in the offhand, so you can see both Tridents Riptide. Now this next one might be the most common item you'll see in your world. It is the standard bow. The first thing that we'll notice is that the attack animation is now identical to swords, which you'll probably never see in the base game, but it's literally perfect. The drawing animation is also just beautiful. It recreates the FOV effect from Java Edition where the bow stretches as you draw it, it zooms in with the field of view. It is gorgeous, it is amazing and lovely. We saw the shield a little bit earlier, but it's worth showing again because it is now exactly identical when you are blocking, when you're not blocking, and it even shows the main hand when you have two shields equipped instead of the offhand. You just have to keep in mind that your offhand shield is still the one taking durability damage because Bedrock prioritizes the offhand shield, but at least in Java Aspects we can make it look as if it's Java accurate. And let's just look at the beautiful spears one more time. Every single spear has a different animation speed, and they all animate exactly like Java Edition. It is so satisfying to see every single one of these animated perfectly in Java Aspects. And this is also great news for future updates because it means that whenever new items get added like this, we can port the animations from Java Edition. We don't have to worry about recreating animations ever again. So updates like this should be much easier to make in the future. I know the spear update took a little while, but hopefully that is a rare occurrence. Now there's one item here in this circle of armor stands that isn't an attachable, aka a 3D item that renders in a special way, and it's the map, because the map is weird on Bedrock Edition. We don't actually have any control over how that map renders because the game takes over and does it for us through code. So instead what we can do through animations is mainly where the hands are. So we've recreated the Java Edition 1.8 attack animation with the map, but with the hand positions from 1.9. So now when we hold the map in the offhand, it also looks correct, and when we attack with it. Now we do have to follow the attack movement of the map, so we instead made the hand move in a forward circle instead of a diagonal angle like Java Edition, just so that everything looks cohesive in Java Aspects. It's a really interesting combination of features that we've managed to make here, and it looks basically as good as you could ever hope it to be. And I didn't really mention it too much, but all of these items also have fixed animations in third person that are also fully Java accurate. They're just not as interesting or difficult to recreate as the first person animations, so I didn't bother showing them. This is also the first update of Java aspects to support slim skins in every possible way. And that means that in first person, your hand exactly matches a slim hand position in first person, and also when you're holding items in third person, the items are now centered on your hand correctly. This is really noticeable for things like torches, swords, the trident, the mace, the spear. Anything that's supposed to be in the middle of your hand now actually is, and your shoulders are also up at the correct height. So both wide and slim skins now have accurate item poses in Java aspects. The spear wasn't the only major new feature Mojang added in Mounts of Mayhem, because that update also introduced the Parched, the Camel Husk, and the 2 Nautilus mobs. And while there wasn't too much for me to fix about the Camel Husk or the Nautilus, the Parched had all the same issues as all the other skeletons in Bedrock Edition. So in this update, I went back to the Parched, just like the Bogged and Stray and Skeleton, and gave it all the same fixes, which includes item poses, and a new feature where even items that are 2D are held in the correct place, like on this arm here. This is especially nice because it means that when skeletons are attacking you in melee mode, they now actually raise their arms and attack upward, like on Java Edition. I guess this guy doesn't want to attack me though. Now the spear also had to be supported on all zombies that can wield it, so that's the zombie villager, the husk, the zombified piglin, and the normal piglin. And the interesting thing about Java Edition is that the zombie and the husk move the wrong arm when they're aiming with the spear. Now as soon as they have you as a target, they correctly move their main arm to attack you with, which I can show you here. It switches the active arm, and this is accurate to Java Edition, it's just really weird. Mojang is about to add an exciting accessibility feature to Bedrock Edition called closed captions, which is where sounds that happen in the world appear on your screen along with the direction that they came from, which is really, really nice. But that means that I had to go through Java and console aspects and add subtitles for every single sound that was already in the packs, and I have done that. In fact, they are more accurate than the vanilla Bedrock sounds because the Bedrock team just makes a lot of mistakes. Like, for example, spear subtitles are broken. That's not something that I fixed in Java aspects in this update because they really need to fix that themselves. But this Java aspects update does fix a lot of things like block placing and breaking sounds being separated correctly, different armor types are distinguished correctly, cauldron sounds are also changed to have accurate subtitles like bucket empties, bucket fills, die stains, and, you know, bottle fills, all important stuff. Did you know that you can make water bottles out of dyed water and then drink the dyed water? That seems really safe. Because of work from old Java aspects updates, a lot of bugs just got automatically fixed, like Cherrywood now shows the proper axe stripping subtitle, and it's also different than the slab placing subtitle. Crossbows now show a charging and a loading subtitle separately. All sorts of fun stuff with crossbow subtitles, especially when fireworks are involved. And most importantly of all, I know you all were really worried about this, parrot imitation sounds are now subtitled correctly for every single mob. It now says the parrot is making the noise instead of the mob. There we go, we can see parrot rattles, which is when they imitate a skeleton. We can see parrot groans, which is when they imitate a zombie. And you can now distinguish a parrot from an actual threat. There are a lot more subtitle fixes, but basically the summary of it is Java aspects now isn't any more broken than the base game. It at least works as well, and usually a little bit better. And in that same vein, Mojang has been adding a lot of settings for UI opacity in the accessibility menu, which includes things like how transparent the chat menu is, how transparent the background text on the item name is, and how transparent the chat background is. So if we turn all of these to max, we can now see that subtitles and the chat are controlled by the chat slider, the action bar is controlled by the action bar slider, and title text backgrounds are controlled by the text background opacity slider. If you want to exactly match Java Edition default settings, I recommend that you set action bar opacity to 0, chat background opacity to 50, and text background opacity to 0. Now, this update also contains a change that might be controversial, so I need some feedback about this in the comments if you have opinions, but I've made it so that the show coordinates and show day played counters in the corner are not affected by these sliders, because in Java Edition, the F3 screen background cannot be disabled and it doesn't change with any settings. Because my main difficulty is, if this was toggleable, I don't want it to be toggleable by the text background opacity because then you can't get transparent titles. I don't want it to be toggleable by the chat opacity because chat really does need a background a lot of the time. and it shouldn't be controllable by action bar because there's no correlation between the action bar and these commands up in the corner. So I've made them always 50% opacity. If that is not something you like, let me know in the comments, and I can probably put it behind action bar background opacity, but I don't know. The other thing is the opacity behind the item name cannot be set to anything above 0 in Java aspects, and that is because of the feature that hides enchantments, because the box gets as wide as the longest enchantment name. So if you have Unbreaking 3 on a brush, well, the name Unbreaking 3 is a lot longer than 5 letters, so the box becomes a lot wider than the name brush, and it looks really stupid. So I've just disabled it entirely in Java aspects, which matches the default Java settings, but it's always unfortunate when I can't make a setting work properly. This concludes the Java aspects section of the video. If you aren't aware, the console aspects section always contains features that are relevant to both packs, so you should really keep watching. I'm just going to change the texture pack so that the video looks a little different. Let's hit the button. And there we are in console aspects, and now you can see one of the first new features is that the subtitle bar now matches the chat background. I just thought that was a fun feature, and it's actually more work to undo it than it is to keep it how it already was by default, so I just made it less wide in this update so that it doesn't take up your entire screen, which, I mean, to be frank, the chat does literally take up your entire screen, so at least the subtitles aren't adding to the problem, and that's why the Console Aspects Small Chat UI pack exists. Now, Console Aspects has a few animations of items that are unique compared to Java Aspects, and I made sure to preserve their unique features even moving into Console Aspects with the new system from LateLag. So the Trident now has a fully accurate model and animation set. The animations are still recreations, but the model is actually decompiled from the Console Edition code, which is amazing. I can't believe we're actually decompiling Console Edition and using those features in aspects at this point. So the Trident gets to keep its unique animation set from Console Edition in the new Console Aspects update. Crossbow animations on Legacy Console Edition match Java Edition except for when you're drawing it, which uses an animation with the hand at an angle. So this unique drawing animation is now shown in Console Aspects as well. The hand in this update is practically perfect. I've overlaid videos of the Console Edition animation with the animation that I've recreated here, and it is shockingly, shockingly close. Same thing for the Trident. I will genuinely never have to touch these animations again, and I'll be perfectly happy. The shield in Console Edition is also slightly different than Java, just because the sneaking position was never updated in console, so like the arm doesn't move when you look around, and it's kind of off screen. This update also removes the animation of blocking with a shield. It just snaps straight up into position, which is actually how it is in PS4 edition, which is actually how it originally was when the shield came out on Bedrock 2, so that's probably why it looks that way in Legacy Console. There's one more first-person animation that's not related to an item in Console Edition, and it has to do with the hand when you're swimming. So look at my hand, and oop! Now it's gone, because 4J Studios actually went and animated the hand in first person to go off screen when you start swimming. It's a very interesting feature. Now on this wall you're seeing these spawn eggs, and you probably think there's something interesting to see about these mobs, which is normally what I do for aspects, but believe it or not, the spawn eggs are the feature today, because all of these spawn eggs are for mobs that are added after the spawn eggs lost their classic designs. So what are you doing here, Agent? Are you making up fan fiction about what colors you imagine the spawn eggs would have? Only kind of. What I'm actually doing is mimicking the colors that 4J Studios uses in their official texture packs, like Plastic and City. Now, they aren't fully consistent. For example, the Copper Golem uses orange and green in the Mario mashup, but it uses pure orange and plastic. But generally, the Plastic texture pack was my reference, and then fine-tuning came from their other packs. For this next feature, we'll have to go into video settings and enable the autosave icon, because Console Aspects finally has the high-resolution autosave icon from Console Edition. There it is. Look at that. It's the exact same files from the Console Edition files. I just extracted them and repurposed them into the Bedrock animation format. So now we get to see the full high-res chest on Bedrock Edition. Makes me very happy. The game is now demanding that I exit to the main menu, and let's do that. Do you notice something nice about this main menu? That's right, not a single advertisement in sight. The Realms button blends right in. The Minecraft Store button, no animations. That thing that appears on the left side when there's a featured server, I mean, you can't see it now because they just took away the Mob Maze one like a day before I recorded this video, but they're gone. They're finally gone. And I am really pleased that the main menu can now be as clean as it's intended to be when you're using Java or console aspects. There's also one more fun feature when you're using aspects, which is that the loading bars when you're loading into a world have now been changed to look more like the version that you're recreating. Here you can see it's green with a gray outline, which is just like how it looked on Classic Console Edition. This also applies for progress bars for things like downloading packs from the marketplace. Just 2 features to go for console aspects. The first one applies to Java aspects as well, and I forgot to put anything in the chest. Here's what was supposed to be in the chest, 4 different projectiles to show you that when you throw projectiles underwater, did you notice that? Not the fact that the subtitle for the wind charge is wrong, which is Mojang's fault, not mine, but the fact that projectiles don't make any swimming sounds when you throw them anymore. The Trident simply glides through water effortlessly, just like on Console Edition. This is a really nice quality of life change if you like using projectiles underwater, especially the Trident, because it was super distracting to hear a ton of swimming sounds whenever you would throw literally anything. And the final feature brings us back to the spear, with this incredibly vague sign that says release the monster within. In fact, we're not going to be giving a zombie a spear, we are going to be turning into a zombie. And that's to show you that when you wield a spear as a zombie skin like this one, you actually get to use the zombie spear animations, including the 2 hands held out instead of just 1, which I think is a really, really fun touch. You now get to actually act and look like a zombie while wielding the newest features. Even the newest features are still supported by these super classic skins. And with that, we come to the end of yet another Java and console aspects update. Having this fixed animation system in both packs at this point is so exciting to me, because that is a huge weight off my chest. You have no idea how difficult it was to redo the entire player animation system to incorporate all these new first-person animations, but the result is gorgeous. Thank you so much to LateLag and also to Lionhead and Kryzor, who helped me test the new animation system that we call the detached system. It is quite an effort to redo all those animations, but now that they're perfect in this update, we never have to touch them again, and that makes me feel very secure. So, my next projects after this are going to be focusing on the Timeless Adventures update and also the Festive Mashup Patch Java port, so that we can send the creator of the Java Festive Mashup pack all of our new textures, because I really want to get those included on both platforms. But for now, thanks for watching.